Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Hollywood Memories. I'm Dan Roberts, and I have the great pleasure of sitting with and interviewing our favorite Vegas Voice columnist, my other woman, and that is Miss Beverly Washburn.
Thank you, Dan. You always say that. So cute.
Before we start, let me give a shout out to our sponsor, which is Carnegie Heights in Henderson. They have been just fantastic in sponsoring you and working with you.
Yes.
And we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carnegie.
And we're going to do something now, which is a TV show. And we talked about you in movies, and we talked about you in Star Trek. But you did another TV show way back when. Way back when. And it was Let's Play the Music. And I bet everybody will know exactly what it is. Now, everybody knows that was Dragnet, and that was with Jack Webb. And tell us a little bit about the segment you were in, because let me give you the date, which was September in 1954.
Wow, quite a while ago. This was a show. It was a weekly show, and it was based on actual cases from the police department in Los Angeles. And they would take each case, and then they would change the names of the real people to protect the innocent or whatever it was. Say, And so this particular episode was called The Big Pair. Now, why it was called that, I have no idea. It wasn't about me because I was only 8.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Anyway, I digress. So they have... now, it never showed on TV the name of the episode, but it would be on the script. And every episode was the big something or other. But now on YouTube, I believe they show the name of the episode. Yep. So anyway, this one was about this grandfather and his little granddaughter who I played, and we get robbed, and I go to the police station to complain about it.
And again, it starred, of course, Jack Webb as Sergeant Friday, Ben Alexander as Officer Frank Smith. I mean, Jack Webb is like a legend. How was he working with you, though?
He was fabulous. And, you know, I hadn't seen the episode myself in 1,000 years. And then you told me it was on YouTube. So I watched it. And I saw that, like in each scene when he was with me, he would put his hand on my shoulder, on my back to walk me. He was just a sweet gentleman. And I remember him doing that, but I'd kind of forgotten that he had done that because that wasn't scripted. He just did that because he was just a lovely man, really kind.
I mean, he never gave you a hard time? Did you enjoy working with him? Let's just
I loved working with him. Now, he did that show, I think you said how many?
That episode, they did, Dragnet had a total of 276 episodes.
Yeah.
And for the season, it was 39, which is unheard of today.
Right, yeah, it was on for quite some time. And so because he had to crank them out, you know, week after week, and he directed most of them, he didn't want to have to take the time to memorize his dialogue because it got tedious. So he had on the show this contraption that I had never seen before. I think I was like 8 or 9. And it was a teleprompter. And it was on wheels. And they would put it right next to the camera. And it would roll around with his dialogue on it. So that way, he didn't have to memorize his dialogue. He was reading it. And what was funny is, you know, he became kind of famous for that the way he would speak, voice, just kind of flat, nondescript, flat, you know, just the facts, ma'am. But it worked for the character, and he became kind of famous for that delivery. But it was because he hadn't remembered his dialogue. He would just read it. And I had never seen anything like that. I was mesmerized by it.
I can imagine that as a little girl watching him, and you never went up to him and said, "Hey, Jack, you know, what are you doing?" Or nothing. You never questioned it or anything along those lines?
You're so funny, Dan. You always think that. No, I never called the adults by their first name. Yeah. But no, I had never seen such a thing. And because typically people didn't use that, but he did just to make his job easier. And it worked for the character. So.
And when you did that episode itself, if you can recall back, was it just a lot of fun? Was it 2 days, 3 days? How long did it take you to do it?
I'm trying to remember. So long ago. I mean, we're talking back in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
I think I worked like 3 days, most likely. And it was a lot of fun. And he was so nice to me. And so was Ben Alexander, who played his partner. And at the time, I used to carry my little autograph book with me on the different shows and get their autographs. And both of them just wrote the sweetest thing to me in my autograph book, which I still have. And he always would send me a Christmas card up until the time he died. And I mean, he didn't sit down and mail them himself. No, I'm sure his secretary did it. But just the fact that I was on his Christmas card list meant so much to me. But the funny part is that it was the same card every single year in a different size. And it looked like a white business card. And all it would say is "Season's Greetings, Jack Webb." And, you know, he didn't personally write it or anything. And it would always have that embossed thing. That it was Mark 7 Productions. At the end of each show, you'd see this hand come down and it would say that. And so that would always be embossed on the card year after year. And year after year, "Season's Greetings," a little white card. And then over the years, it started out, it was like a business card, and then it might be bigger and then smaller. Same one every year.
Same one.
And it wasn't real Christmassy, but I was so flattered and honored that he would send me one and that I was on his list up until the time he died.
Wow. You know, one of the things that surprised me, and I think we mentioned it off camera, is that you had your scenes, there were a lot of close-ups of just you, nobody else, not Jack Webb, nobody, and you had, I thought it was a ton of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to memorize all that? I mean, you're a little girl. How did you do all that?
I think most children could have done that. I don't know.
I know one child who could not have done it, no matter what. But I mean, how were you able? Not only were you able to memorize it, but you were able to talk it out, act it out, as opposed to Jack Webb, who was just reading it off the teleprompter.
You know, I don't know how to answer that, really. I just was fortunate that I had a good memory, and I would get a script and read it, and I just was able to memorize it.
And you were always able to do that as a child?
Yeah.
I just think that's incredible. I got to ask you one more thing that, again, I just found stunning. When I saw the YouTube and I saw all the credits, it was Beverly Washburn, number 3, right under Jack Webb and Ben Alexander. I thought it was the coolest thing. As a little girl, did it go to your head and say, "Oh my God, look, my name is up on lights and everything"?
Well, it meant a lot to me. I don't know why they gave me such great billing. I was Jack Webb, Ben Alexander, and me right in a row. And it meant a lot to me, and I don't know why that even happened. I think I should have been further down the list, but yeah, I'm grateful that they did that.
And here's the thing: you're watching yourself on TV. Again, we also did it in the theater when you did the movies. Mm-hmm. And you see yourself, and did you ever look at yourself and say, "Hey, I'm a big deal"? No, because you were able to do the movies, you did all the TV shows, got third billing, and you see it. And how come most kids, I think it would go to their heads. How come it never went to yours?
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't know. I guess it was the way I was brought up. My parents always taught me just to be humble and kind and not let things go to my head. It didn't make me any better than anybody else just because I had a part on a TV show, maybe a bit luckier than some kids, but not better. So that was just kind of drilled into me that they always said if it ever went to my head or I thought I was like a big shot or anything like that I couldn't continue on, and just to always practice gratitude.
Okay, and again, when you work with gratitude, when you work with Jack Webb, you didn't call him Jack or anything else. It was always Mr. and never a problem.
No, and I have to say they were both so warm and welcoming to me and treated me just in the kindest, sweetest way.
No nerves, no.
No, it was just fun. It was fun for me. It's funny, though, to look at the show and you see how times have changed. I mean, no computers back then. You had the telephones with the wires hanging and all the stuff. But it was a fun show, and I'm just grateful that I was able to be a part of it.
Yeah, and again, just looking at it from 50 years later, the fact that that TV show, that ran for 26 and a half minutes as opposed to today's TV show.
Yeah, not as many commercials as today, right?
It was just very different. So in the few seconds that we have left, let's go with Jack Webb is or was. How would you describe him as an actor and as a person?
Well, both, just wonderful. I mean, I couldn't ask for any more. He was just a very caring, kind, loving man, and gave me the biggest hug on my last day and signed my autograph book. And so it will always be one of my fondest memories working with him.
Sounds like he was one of the good guys.
He absolutely was.
And I guess we can sit here forever, and we're never going to get one that is not one of the good guys, is it?
And he was, though. He
was.
really was.
Anyway, I thank you.
As was Ben Alexander.
You got to throw him in too. But he was also a good guy.
He was, and he played Jack Webb's partner, Sergeant Friday's partner.
Yeah. So I thank you again for allowing me to sit with you. We thank Carnegie Heights and
Yes, thank
Henderson for sponsoring this, and hopefully they're going to continue doing this after this segment. But until next time, this is Dan Roberts, and
Oh,
it's you.
what?
And this is
And
Dan
my name
Roberts,
is-
and you are.
Oh, well, Dan, you're so. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Beverly Washburn saying thank you for Hollywood Memories, and we'll see you again soon.
Oh my God.